You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
Alrighty, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am joined, it's the Sunday pregame, and I am joined by Chris at Detroit Beastie on Twitter. Make sure you give him a follow. Chris, how you doing today?
I'm great. I thought you were going to say I'm Derek from the Good Old Boys on Tweezy and follow Detroit Beastie. That's what I thought you were getting at. It made sense at the time, but yeah, I'm fantastic. Week 12, it's kind of a smaller slate given the fact we had Thursday here. So one thing I'll say is I always love, there's a few reasons, when the Lions are on bye week, I don't have to worry about them, just bugging the hell out of me on Sunday. And now they already lost on Thursday, so I'm free and clear today to be in peace. Work on the Christmas tree, put the lights up outside. So Detroit Lions, you cannot hurt me today. You already did that a few days ago.
And so the here was the bright shining spot. I was looking at that and going, because I don't know. I thought this was going to be the game that they finally won if they were going to pull one out this season, and they didn't. But I was still looking at it going, they at least can't set a new record for most losses in a season this year because they tied the other week. So I'm hoping that they get one here for you one of these weeks here soon. I'm hoping for you.
And still, here's the thing. So, I would say there was a minute left in the fourth quarter, and that's when all the food was done. So I went to the kitchen, the family's all sitting at the table, I'm cutting the turkey, and I got up to do that with a minute left in the game, and you knew how it was going to go. Chicago's going to kick a field goal, we're going to lose. That's fine. I already knew that was going to happen, and which did happen, but we ate, and I went back and turned on the next game. I believe it was Vegas and Dallas, and I'm going on social media, and folks are freaking out that the Lions found a new way to lose, and I'm thinking, losing on a last-second field goal, that's what happens all the time. It's already happened 4 or 5 times this season, and I wasn't understanding that Coach Dan Campbell, he called a timeout when they didn't have a timeout, and it's just unbelievable. This team continues to find new ways to lose. My late father, bless him, huge sports fan. He's the reason why I'm into the Lions and anything Detroit here, but he would say, hopefully I get this right, we're live on air, but he said something along the lines where the Detroit Lions snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, if that makes any sense. And it still applies. My dad's been gone about 5 or 6 years now, and every time the Lions play, A, I think of him, and B, I think of that stupid saying, and which makes very much sense.
It absolutely does. And normally it's, the inverse of that, you snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, but absolutely that makes a lot of sense. And I like that phrase. That is a good turn of phrase. And I'm a big fan.
One thing I haven't seen anybody do, and it just hit me here, I'm going to write the notes briefly, is go comb back through all the Lions games. If I got to go back 20 years, I will, and write down every specific way they lost, and then put that into a pool, and then count those up. Well, they've lost 75 different ways, because obviously you can lose a game for the same reason, last-second field goal, last-second interception, but with the timeout stuff and the coin flips, some of that stuff has to be unique to only the Lions in the way that they lose. And I know that that's a huge undertaking, but it's something to kind of romanticize and look forward to. So maybe, when I have an extra time, I'll look around and see and actually put, pen to paper, how many different weird, unique ways the Lions have lost the last 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, I could see that one happening and see that being the case because you're right. It's, they just this season alone, they've figured out a couple of different ways to do that. And it's all been interesting, and in some cases record setting. And, it's been a wild and crazy ride with that one for sure. For sure.
I mean, that field goal with Justin Tucker in Baltimore, that was like a 75-yard field goal. And I knew in my heart of hearts, he's going to make this. That's what this guy does. I was at the Monday Night Football game years ago when they did the same thing. I think Tucker hit a 51 or 53-yard field goal. I'm like 5 rows up at the 40-yard line behind the Lions bench. And we saw it coming a mile away. So it's just nonsense. And I did read, I'll say this briefly this morning. I'm having my coffee. I'm getting going. And I don't won't believe who it was, though. It was like a bigger website, and they said, that the NFL should put pressure on Sheila Ford to kind of sell the team here, and that's just never going to happen. Everybody thinks like that's the way to go because we've tried everything else. I didn't know the broadcast here was going to turn into a Lions bashing session, but hey, I don't see my therapist till I believe Tuesday, so we'll get a little bit of it out here though. So again, I don't think it matters. We've tried every combination: head coaches, GMs, quarterbacks, and I understand the idea here is what there's been one constant throughout the pain and suffering. It's been the Ford family owning it, but the Ford family is an institution. They built Detroit. They are Detroit. So them selling the Lions, I don't know. I don't care one way or another.
No, I've got my team is a team at which their ownership status influx and in a trustee status and everything else going on here. That it seems to be that we're still waiting on what the future of the franchise looks like from that standpoint, which also has trickle down effects everywhere else there as well. So I don't know that. I think you're right. I don't know that changing the ownership there changes much there.
No, and really briefly, you're a Denver Broncos fan, correct?
Correct.
You're in Colorado. What a great franchise. I mean, they always play well. There's only a handful of organizations throughout sports that you can kind of say that, and the first one that comes to mind is the Minnesota Twins in the MLB. They play in the AL Central with the Tigers, and even Tampa Bay. No matter what they're doing, they don't spend a ton of money, but they're always in the mix. They're always competitive. The fans are always there, and I look at Denver the same way. There's no way that fandom and ownership could go wrong with the Denver Broncos there. So yeah, I'd give anything to have an organization in Detroit like the Denver Broncos.
So yeah, we'll hopefully get that quarterback thing figured out and all of that going forward. And maybe that's the key, right? That's the thing everybody always says, just a quarterback away. So we'll see how that one plays out this offseason and see how some of the front office stuff shakes up there as well. Here in Denver, but let's go ahead and start hitting up some of these games here. And Chris, I know that so we sit there and normally when you and I peel back the curtain here a little bit and give a little bit of transparency on how we go through and we determine those games. And normally it's just a fact of you and I sitting here before we go live. We go, hey, I like this one. Prior, you like this one. Boom, 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 boom. Chris, you texted me in like Monday this week saying, hey, I really, really like this game. And I called dibs on it. And I know that you're just ecstatic about this one. So we're just going to head right there and let's go right to the one that you can't wait to talk about.
Yeah, we'll go to Houston. The New York Jets play Houston. And on paper, I don't know too many people that are talking about this one, but just to give you the process here, Sunday night is when I sit down with a pen and paper. I'll spend the day normally on Sunday just writing little notes, just blurbs and notes, to use for bottom of the barrel the next week or the next, week's DFS slate. So Monday is when I sit down and really get my bottom of the barrel notes going. And as I was writing it, I believe it was the early afternoon, like 2-3 o'clock, because there was a lot of things that stood out to me. And as the week has progressed, we're starting to see folks kind of, I don't want to say that everybody's in on this game, but you're seeing some just people pop up out of the woodwork to say they like this game. And I love it. And let me get into it now. I was going to wait till the end of the broadcast because again, people will pop in and the viewership might go up, but now we might get the opposite. We have all the viewers now, and after I talk about the Jets in Houston, everybody's going to split. They're going to have their milk and cookies and they're going to go away. So the Jets go to Houston. The Jets are getting 3 points, but the positive in this one is Zach Wilson is back here. I've seen photos of him this morning coming in off the plane and walking in, and he looks sharp. We know he was probably able to play the last few weeks, but the Jets are taking it slow with him because they look at him as their franchise quarterback for a long time here. But when we look at the New York Jets here, actually both sides of the ball, Houston and the Jets, the DVP, which is defensive player matchup here, it's all green across the board, 32, 25, 27. So running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, it's all a green matchup here. I won't bog down the broadcast with that. But to me, Ty Johnson and Tevin Coleman, very much on the radar here. On FanDuel, both guys are very cheap. I believe Ty Johnson $5,200, DraftKings Tevin Coleman $56, and on FanDuel Ty Johnson only $4,300, and that's a PPR PPR format. So to me, Ty Johnson, very much in play here. Tevin Coleman, only $4,000. And I want to tell you here, with the way the landscape of football is going, week 12, all these injuries, we already had a handful of games. The player pool today is very slim. So if you're going to win, if you want to win anything of note in a GPP, you got to get wild. And I believe last week on the broadcast, I mentioned it in bottom of the barrel. I said, you know what? I want to kick the tires on Joe Flacco in week 11. Come to find out, Derek, I don't know if I told you this, but Joe Flacco was the quarterback in the Millie Maker winning lineup in week 11. It's crazy to me. So why can't we have a little mixture of Ty Johnson, Rex Burkhead in some sort of big multi-entry GPP? In David Johnson, Rex Burkhead, I'm jumping around here because it's so exciting. I'm trying to tie this up in a little bow. I don't want to talk for 20 minutes about this game here, but the whole motto behind bottom of the barrel this week, I wrote it in the opening here. It's the combination of players, the duos. Everybody, they look at it as a cardinal sin to start two players from the same team at the same position. Hence, Ty Johnson, Tevin Coleman, or David Johnson and Rex Burkhead. Same team, same position here. That's like a no-no, right? Javante or Melvin Gordon III. That's okay. I'm doing it a ton this week, and I'm starting in this game. Johnson, Coleman, Rex Burkhead, and David Johnson, and I'll leave it at that. So personally, final score-wise, Derek, I have this one being a bonanza of fantasy points. I have the Houston Texans winning 31-28 in this one, so there's going to be plenty points to go around, and just make sure you use Elijah Moore, too. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the rookie back with Zach Wilson.
Yeah, Elijah Moore's been putting up some very good performances week over week, right? He's been a top 10 wide receiver over the last 5-6 weeks here now, and absolutely just blowing things up there. Houston's defense is a place that I really like the defense special teams, which is something we don't typically talk about a ton throughout all these shows but I'm loving the matchups that they've got here. Although, I've got that playing out a little bit more. The Jets not necessarily putting up that many points as far as on the scoreboard. I see them getting tons of yards on this one and going through that one there. But I'm gonna going through that. You talked me into it that the Jets will score points on this one. So I may be looking to pivot a little bit off of Houston's defense and special teams there. Yeah. But I like it. I like everything that you're talking about there. I think that you've got some really good players that I think will shine this week.
Be mindful if you look at Houston, the Houston Texans on DraftKings. Their DST, it's $2,300. I mean, that's as cheap as it gets. And given the fact Zach Wilson, rookie kid, hasn't played in a few weeks, what are the chances Wilson throws an interception, maybe two, or some sort of fumble recovery? And who's to say the Texans' defense and special teams doesn't return, a pick six or something along those lines, or just a punt return for a touchdown? So the Houston Texans, any way you slice it, are on the map for me this week, in addition to the Jets in DFS formats.
Okay, you may have talked me back in. I might be back in. I like it. Back in. Just when I thought I was out, he pulls me back in. Okay. Alrighty, so let's I love that matchup, and I love the way that you're framing that one up there. Let's go ahead and head on over to Carolina and the Miami Dolphins. This one here, I see it being a pretty good defensive matchup when it's all said and done. Right. So when you look at it and kind of referencing back to how the spread moves, right? Because that's how, a lot of the times when you look at these things, and when I look at these things, it's based off of, how the odds makers kind of see some of this stuff playing out there, because they have a very good grasp on it, and they've done this very well for a number of years. But this line opened with Carolina getting a point and has since moved to them giving 2.5 on this one. So a lot of spread movement on that one over a very short time there. And the over-under has remained the same at about 42. Now, this one, when I see it all playing out, I see Carolina winning this game right about by a field goal when it's all said and done. A 21-18 type of matchup there. I think that these two teams are going to get very in the trenches and play some pretty good defense here. And you'll see some good up and down movement going, but you're not going to see necessarily a ton of end zone finds on this one, to the point where you'll see, teams putting up a big track meet type of scoring fest. I don't see that one happening, but the players that I'm looking to start in this one is Cam. I think Cam is going to have a very, very good game. Miami has given up a ton of points to opposing quarterbacks this season. While that defense has gotten really good over the last little bit, they still give give up quite a few points to opposing quarterbacks there. And this is one of those that Cam Newton is able to, can find the end zone on any given week and sometimes more than once. So the rushing baseline and the rushing floor saves him there for me. CMC is a must start anytime you got him. If you got him, you got to start him. DJ Moore is another guy that I like in this matchup here. Again, he can house the ball from anywhere on the field. Cam and CMC back there makes that offense more dynamic, makes the defense have to account for those guys, and makes him, makes it where defense can't just bracket him and kind of take him out of the game a little bit there. So I see him having a pretty good game here. And Jalen Waddle is the side that I'm looking to start on the Miami Dolphins here. I'm staying away from Gaskins. Gesicki, is kind of in play for me, but I'm not looking to start him if I can pivot to some better options. But definitely fading Gaskin. The Carolina Panthers have been very, very good on the defensive side against opposing running backs and giving up fantasy points there. And I think this is one of those that we're going to see that roller coaster up and down that we've been riding with Gaskin all season hit the down mark this season as well. So I'm liking Carolina in this game. I think that this is going to be a good and entertaining game to watch because I think you're going to get a couple of big plays here and there for the offensive folks that like watching football. But I also think that you're going to see a lot of really great defensive plays on that side of the ball as well for the folks that like watching that. So this is going to be just an overall good game to watch. I have a feeling. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. A few things, and I'll keep it brief here. Carolina, minus 2 points, minus 2.5 points. That's an absolute lock for me. As you said, it opened. I believe Carolina was minus a point. I believe Carolina wins by at least a touchdown here. To be honest, I have the final 24-14. So Carolina winning by 10. So to me, from a betting perspective, all in on Carolina. From a DFS perspective, all in on DJ Moore. You look at what Miami does against opposing wide receivers, it's nothing to write home about. They're 31st overall. So DJ Moore to me, in my projections here, 8-9 targets, 5-6 receptions, 65 to 70 yards as a floor. Kid been averaging around 12.1, 12.2 yards a reception here. So in any and all formats, DJ Moore is absolutely in play. And when you go to the Miami side of things, right, Myles Gaskin, I know so far we've seen his ownership percentage, at least I have, kind of been bumped up a little bit. Carolina's very good up front. They're third overall in defending opposing running backs here. So, Gaskins, Duke Johnson, not anybody I want to mess with today. And even Tua Tagovailoa, that, DVP, Carolina's fifth overall. Their Carolina defense, I can't state this enough. Their DST, defensive line, and D tackles and all that are very strong. So again, Carolina Panthers defense, very much in play for me in DFS formats and in seasonal formats. And on DraftKings, to any of you that love DraftKings, they're only $3,100 on DraftKings. And again, I have Miami putting up probably, 14 points. 17 would be a little ambitious here, but I think Carolina wins this one, and it's never in doubt. That's where I'm at.
I like it. I like it a lot. That's I always like it when you and I see the games in a similar fashion there. So I'm a big fan of it. Let's go ahead. I know that you've got a couple of others that you want to hit up here. Where are you wanting to take us next?
Yeah, I want to go to New England, Foxborough. The Tennessee Titans head to New England to take on Bill Belichick and Mac Jones, the evil machine, however you want to put it here. But when you look at what's going on with Tennessee, I'm not going to say anything that's profound or anything that nobody knows here. I'll just go down the list as quick as I can. Derrick Henry on the IR, A.J. Brown on the IR. I mean, they just put Jeremy McNichols on the IR, and he was like their second, third string guy. So now the Tennessee Titans have to count on Dontrell Hilliard, Donta Foreman, and both boys. They're very reasonably priced on FanDuel and DraftKings here, but it's about what can you stomach when you're building your DFS lines. Is this a way you want to go? Personally, no, absolutely not. In seasonal formats, you'd have a case there given given the fact it's week 12, given the fact a handful of games were already played, given the fact that there's a lot of facts to give here, as you can tell, Derek, given the fact that there's a ton of injuries here as well. So to me, of the two running backs, I have Hilliard at around 11 carries. I have Foreman around 9 carries. So when you talk about, passing down work, I think Foreman gets over on Hilliard, 1 or 2 more targets, something along those lines. New England, 17th overall in terms of DVP, which is green. You could say that's green. But on the New England Patriots side of things, I'll say it one more time here. This entire week 12, bottom of the barrel, in my DFS stuff, it's been about duos. Players from the same team playing the same position. I absolutely love the idea of the combination stack of Damien Harris and the rookie Ramondre Stevenson. Just be mindful, both have a Q tag in front of their name. Everything I've read last night into this morning, both are trending towards playing. So to me, Damien Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, very much in play in DFS formats. I've already booked a couple DFS entries with both of these running backs in the same contest here. If you can roster D. Harris and Stevenson, you can get nuts. You can put Dalvin Cook in your flex spot, Christian McCaffrey, or you can stack a trio of wide receivers who are by far and away my favorite today, and that is Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams, and Justin Jefferson, who plays in San Francisco, which I'll get to. So to me, it's all about the New England Patriots in this game, and I will also say, so far so good. Nobody's really wanting to talk about the Patriots and Tennessee game to me. So what that leads me to believe, there's a little bit of an edge to be gained here, just like just like the Jets and Houston here. So I'm trying to pull some rabbits out of my hat and see how we do here.
I like it. I like it a lot. This one here, I think that New England's going to come out and just pretty much win this thing outright. AJ Brown went on the IR yesterday as well. There's just, I don't see how Tennessee moves the ball down the field to keep this game competitive. The line last I saw was 7 points on this one with the over under 43.5. So this one very well could be an under, and the Patriots cover. That wouldn't surprise me on that in the slightest there. But you mentioned something interesting, and this is a question for me, or from me, I guess, to you. I have a lineup that have both Ramondre Stevenson and Damien Harris rostered in season long. So, and this is a one that I've gone back and forth through on my debates and my internal monologue here. So I'll pose the question to you. If you have to start one, Ramondre Stevenson or Damien Harrison in the flex, which one are you doing?
Well, it's a great question. Let me, if you don't mind, let me bring up what I have for each guy in terms of a projection. I've learned over the years, people that, everybody does a start and sit segment or a tweet here. What I found over the years is, if you ask me player A or player B, I'll give you my projections for each guy and then let you make the decision. That way there's no, you can't come back at me and go, well, I asked you player A or B, you told me B and it was player A and I hate you, you're an idiot now. So I'll give you what I have for each one and then let's see where we stand. Damien Harris, 14 carries, looking at about 55 to 60 yards, a very healthy average, 4.2 yards a carry. I do think he finds the end zone on the ground. 1-2 receptions, about 10 yards. So you're looking at probably 11 or 12 total PPR points in this one, and that's minus the touchdown, obviously. But when it comes to Stevenson, 11 or 12 carries. So it looks split down the middle right now. 45 to 50 total yards. But where I think I would prefer Stevenson is the receptions. 2-3 receptions, 15, anywhere between a window of 15 to 20 yards in this one, and I do firmly believe Stevenson finds the end zone in the air here. So to me, of the two, you would like to think, depending on your situation, do you need to win this game? Is it an easy peasy matchup? I don't know, but I think I would take the risk in DFS formats on Stevenson. In seasonal formats for you, I think I would just trust Damien Harris, given the fact we know what his workload is. There's a built-in floor there with Damien Harris.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was actually eerily similar to how I've seen both of them kind of projected there as well. And that's why, I'm looking at those things and they are within a couple of points of each other as far as that goes. And I think you're right. I think Damien Harris probably gives you the safer floor. Ramondre Stevenson probably gives you the bigger upside there.
Correct,
so I like it. And that's kind of how I saw that one as well. So I'm going to ride it because I'm going to ride Harris because I've got the deal where I'm projected to win and win on the by a comfortable margin there. So I'll go with the guy that probably gives me the safer floor. But I like that one. We do have a couple of questions. Let's hit these ones up real quick. Sigzamundo on YouTube. Howdy, Brandon Cooks, Elijah Moore, Elijah Mitchell, Damien Harris at flex today. Man, that's a fun one there.
Yeah, it is. So just without looking it up, because that would probably take 5 or 10 minutes to read off what I have for all the projections here. In all honesty, Sigmundo, I think I would look at Elijah Moore here. We've seen his usage go up. We've seen his target share kind of increase as the season goes along. But obviously, that's a really wild play, given the 4 players here. But I have to come to the realization, folks still don't understand sometimes with me. I'm always predisposed from a DFS, projection kind of thing. I always think DFS, high upside guy, and to me, Elijah Moore gives that. Personally, it would be Elijah Moore, Damien Harris, Eli Mitchell, and then Brandon Cooks. I know that might be a little bit contradictory given the fact I love the Jets and Houston game, but I think in that one, there's too many other pieces there, and Brandon Cooks just gets lost in the shuffle there. So I'm going to go Elijah Moore, followed by Damien Harris, Eli Mitchell, and then Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, I would rank those very, very similarly. And Sigmundo, it would also depend too on going back to the matchup on your fantasy matchup there, right? If you're projected to win, and you
take some risks, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, if you're projected to win, you can go one of two ways, right? You can shoot for the higher ceiling, which I think Elijah Moore has probably the highest ceiling of any of those guys today. Brandon Cooks, I think, also has a pretty high ceiling on that one, but not a very safe floor there. Whereas Damien Harris, I think, has probably the safest floor of any one of these guys. So that's how I would frame that one up to you, is that it's going to depend on your matchup there and whether you need a floor play or whether you need a ceiling play or, what that ultimately looks like. But I do like the way that you rank that one. And that's how I would probably be starting that as well in my own lineups, with Elijah Moore, Damien Harris, followed by Mitchell and Cooks.
I want folks to know really quick, I'm not crazy. I feel like, in DFS and seasonal fantasy sports, I've been pretty successful. But here, it's week 12. I have already established there's already been a handful of games played. There's a ton of injuries. In seasonal formats here, there's no time to play it cute. You have to shoot for the moon, especially this week. And Sigmundo, I don't know if you're pushing for a playoff spot. Have you already clinched? I don't know what that means. But if you need to win this contest, well, we have to take some risks. And that's why I'd prefer Elijah Moore of the 4 players here.
I like it. Alrighty, so Isaiah on YouTube, David Johnson or Ty Johnson, PPR. Actually, looks like he updated that while you were talking about the Tennessee game. David Johnson, Ty Johnson, or Hilliard in PPR formats. Which way you like here?
So when there's a question like this, 3 or 4 players, first thing I do, it's kind of like taking a test in college. You look at the answers and you can just eliminate one of the answers right off the bat. It, helps your odds here. So right off the bat, I'm eliminating Hilliard. So to me, it's between David Johnson or Ty Johnson here. And since we have the time, I have David Johnson around 8 or 9 carries, about 40 to 45 yards, 3-4 receptions, another 30 yards. So you're looking at, upside of 60 to 70 total all-purpose yards, 4.4 yards a carry here. And then when you get to Ty Johnson, 8-9 carries, 35 to 40 yards. So it's almost identical here. And then when you look at Ty Johnson in terms of the receptions, literally almost the exact same thing. 3-4 receptions, 25 to 30 yards here. So to me, the difference is, who's going to see more usage. Doesn't matter what the game script is. Is it positive? Is it negative? And to me, Ty Johnson looks to get just a little bit more work in this one. So give me Ty Johnson in a game where he probably will be the RB1, at least to start the game here.
Yeah, I like that thought there as well, because I do think that the Jets will be trailing a little bit in this one. Need to do a little bit of catch up there. Ty Johnson would be that kind of play that I would see on that one, with him coming out of the backfield to be the check down type of receiving back when they're trying to play some catch up there. So I could see him putting up some points PPR wise, probably more so than David Johnson, but both of those guys, I think I think will perform similarly this week.
Yeah, and I'd feel, if he gave us, Isaiah Rose gave us these David Johnson, Ty Johnson. Who would you feel comfortable, going down with what ship? If I put David Johnson in there and he did nothing, I'd be like, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. At least Ty Johnson, regardless, I'm going down with that ship because everything is there for him to get it done for me. So if Ty Johnson is in my lineup, I put David Johnson on the bench. Ty Johnson doesn't perform. I could say, well, you know what? My process and the way I thought about it, I can live with that. If David Johnson does nothing in my lineup, I wouldn't be able to live with that.
Yeah, very good point. Let's go ahead and head over to the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. This one here, I think, is going to be a very fun one to watch. I don't know that these AFC North teams tend to pride themselves on defense, and when that all comes to play, this one here is, the line is they've got the Bengals winning by about 3.5. With an over under around 45. And I think that the under is going to be the case with this one here. I think that you're going to see a lot of, this matchup doesn't necessarily have the same slobber knocker type of matchup that we've seen in the past between these two teams, because in the past, these two franchises do not like each other. This is one of the big rivalries that they get up to play every week, and it doesn't necessarily have some of the same feel to it as in the past when you had Hines Ward on one side, or you had Vontaze Burfict on the other side, and those, these guys just going at one another. So I see that this one going to be that the Bengals are going to pull this thing out, but I don't see it being a hugely scoring type of fest here. I think this is going to be about a 21-14, 21-17 type of matchup, with the Bengals winning this one. Lots of good defense played. I think that Deante Johnson's a pretty safe play. Najee Harris, of course, is a very safe play. On the flip side of that, I could see Jamar Chase sneaking out and breaking a long one off on this one here, scoring a long touchdown. Joe Mixon will get the workload on that one. I know a lot of folks are talking about T. Higgins and him getting potentially a lot of workload in this one. I don't know that that's really going to be the case on this. So I think he's safe to play season long, things like that. But I'm not necessarily looking to smash a T. Higgins into my lineup if I'm playing like a DFS type of thing. And that's where I'm going to kind of leave it there and kind of get your opinion on, especially on a T. Higgins.
Yeah, so to me, there's two ways to attack this game. And so if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, you're going to attack this game. Or excuse me, if you're going to roster Pittsburgh Steelers, the way to attack the Bengals, are the running backs. Najee Harris, Benny Snell, as disgusting as it sounds. Cincinnati, they're 25th overall in terms of opposing, running backs here. And if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, the way to attack this game is the Cincinnati Bengals wide receivers. They're 24th, 25th overall in terms of DVP. So to me, Joe Mixon, absolutely, he's a must start. But with the Cincinnati Bengals wide receivers, that's where we want to be. With Pittsburgh, we want to be with the wide receivers, and we mix and match there. So again, Jamar Chase, absolutely in play. Najee Harris, yes. Deante Johnson, one of my favorite plays today from a DFS perspective, along with Pat Freiermuth. This kid is fast becoming one of my favorite overall fantasy players in general. In tight ends, absolutely, but overall players, Pat Freiermuth here. So to me, T. Higgins in seasonal formats, I'd like to think, folks, at this stage, you might have a better option, or you might have, an A versus B thing here where it's going to be close, and I would prefer, option B over T. Higgins, given the way I think this game is going to go. I have this one. I have Cincinnati putting up 31 points in this one, final score being 31-28. So from a DFS perspective, I would stack the heck out of this game. From a seasonal fantasy football perspective, I would stack as many pieces as I can. I know, again, seems a little contradictory given the fact I said T. Higgins, player A versus player B. I might look another way, but I'm telling you now, it's going to be all Joe Mixon. It's going to be all Kittle, Jamar Chase, and I could see a case here where CJ Uzomah, has a little bit better of a game than T. Higgins here. Tyler Boyd could be in play here. There's just something going on now with T. Higgins where he's not that automatic start that he was last year. Set it and forget it. Had like 6 games in a row with a floor of 6 receptions for 60 yards. I believe nothing to worry about. T. Higgins, just a little bit of growing pains, nothing crazy here. But for this week alone, I think I would focus on Mixon, Jamar Chase, and Najee Harris and Deante Johnson. Those are the 4 players I would pluck from this game.
I like it. I like it. It's not often that you and I are complete opposite spectrums of a game as far as a scoring type of thing, but that's how we see in this one play out there. So this will be a very interesting one to watch. I think this is probably going to be one of the funner games from a football watching perspective to go out there and watch this week. Let's go ahead and head to your next game. Where are you taking us?
Yeah, we're going to go all the way to the West Coast, if you don't mind. Got some snow here in Michigan yesterday, so going to San Francisco would be fantastic right now. So the Minnesota Vikings head to San Francisco. Minnesota, they're the road dog here. Minnesota's getting 3.5 points. I believe this line, if it serves me correctly, opened at about 40.5, the over-under. It's been bumped up a point, so right now it sits at 49 even here. Now, through the last few days, and especially this morning, a lot of the optimizers, the study hub at Team Rise or Fall and Fantasy Crunchers, the optimizer that they use hand in hand, Jimmy Garoppolo has been popping up in a ton of what I've been doing today and in the last few days here in terms of a DFS perspective. Jimmy Garoppolo, $6,500 on FanDuel, on DraftKings, only $5,700. You may think, well, in seasonal formats, a lot of folks have Jimmy Garoppolo on their roster, and he's just been collecting dust on the bench. Right now is the time to use Jimmy G. He's been on a little bit of a heater. I believe, he's averaged 1 or 2 touchdown passes a game his last 3 or 4. I feel like I've made that up, but it makes sense to me given all the information I've kind of clogged in my brain here. So the question here is, it's not Deebo Samuel, it's not Brandon Ayuk. Both are very much in play. Samuel, take it to the house at any given time. And Ayuk has finally come alive here. His usage rate and his on-field percentage has been gradually, increased as we go along. And in this one alone, I have Brandon Ayuk on the field about 85% of the offensive snaps in comparison to Deebo Samuel, only around 70% of the offensive snaps. That doesn't mean Ayuk is going to have a better game. It just goes to show you that Deebo Samuel is super efficient. He only needs to play. He can play 20% less of the snaps than Ayuk and still outperform him. So to me, it's about Ayuk and Samuel. Now where I am at least getting a lot of question is, it's Elijah Mitchell. What are we going to do there? Questionable tag, has a pin in his thumb, didn't play last time out. And from everything I've seen, it's up to him. It's there if he wants to take it. Does he feel comfortable with his thumb being wrapped up? I don't know if he's going to have a taped up club for this one, and it is what it is. But if Elijah Mitchell is active, he's going to be in my seasonal fantasy starting lineups here. And George Kittle, what can you say? Minnesota is 3rd overall against defending tight ends here. George Kittle, he's on a heater too. I think Kittle and Garoppolo, they're the reason for each other's heaters right now. Garoppolo and Kittle, I believe Kittle scored in three games in a row. This could be 4th in a row. And then when you look at the Minnesota Vikings side of things, I mean, Kirk Cousins, I have to give him his credit. All this guy does is just throw touchdown passes. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, Derek, but Kirk has 27 or 28 total touchdown passes so far in comparison to only 2 or 3 interceptions here. So again, Kirk Cousins very much in play in seasonal formats and DFS formats. $7,500 on FanDuel. It's a pretty sweet price tag here. And then Dalvin Cook, no brainer. You're going to get I have Cook for a floor of about 19 or 20 total carries in here. That's not even a question. Just wasted folks' time saying his name here. And to me, it's about Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen here. Justin Jefferson has been unbelievably fantastic, backing it up again from last season to this season here. So to me, of all the games on the slate, aside from the Jets and Houston, you heard that correctly, this game has the more stackable potential to me in any other game on the slate. Cousins, Cook, Jefferson, Thielen, Tyler Conklin is somewhere in that piece about what? fourth or fifth in that pecking order, you're going to see 4 or 5 targets for Tyler Conklin in this one in an okay matchup here. So to me, it's all about if you own any Minnesota Vikings or any 49ers, you're playing them all, and I don't feel bad saying that to anybody. And in DFS formats, absolutely, as much Garoppolo as I can get my hands on today.
I like it. Question coming in. I'm not sure how you say that. Is that Denial 23? I think is how that's said on YouTube there. McKissick, DJ, or Hilliard in this one. Rank them up for you. How you playing these guys?
I'm looking up what I have for each guy right now here. I have, I believe I mentioned J.D. McKissick, 4 or 5 carries, looking at 20 yards. Where he makes his hay is the receptions, 4 or 5 receptions, maybe 30 total yards there. D.J. Dallas, 7, 8 carries, 30, 35 yards, and then 2, 3 receptions for another 30 yards. So far, McKissick or DJ, it's DJ. Let's look at what I have for Hilliard briefly, and I think I already know where I'm going. And call me crazy, but I'm going to prefer Dontrell Hilliard, 8, 9 carries, 40, 50 yards, 3, 4 receptions, another 30, 35 yards here. So to me, I'm very comfortable saying DJ Dallas and Hilliard here.
I like it. Real quick though, like that one there, I see Washington football team actually losing that game to Seattle on this one and trailing in there, trying to make a stand there on a comeback thing. So, fourth quarter drive, something like that, where they're trying to get down the field. That's where you've seen JD McKissick make his hay, and is in that fourth quarter, that last drive or two when they're trying to play catch up, trying to get back into this one. So the way that I see Seattle, winning that game today. So the Washington football team needing to play a little bit of catch up there. I could see McKissick probably coming down with about 6, 7 receptions on this one, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 50, 60 yards on it. I don't think that he's going to get many on the way of carries to it, but this is one of the first weeks too we've seen Antonio Gibson come back without an injury designation tag into the game. So that's something worth keeping a big note on and keeping track of there as well. And because of the fact that you may see Antonio Gibson get more of that workload and get more of the, we've heard Ron Rivera come out and say more than once that they see a CMC type of workload for Antonio Gibson because he's got that kind of skill set, things like that. So is this the week that we finally see that? I don't know. But the fact that I'm not.
Be aware, Derek, be aware Curtis Samuel is going to be active today, so
correct.
They're going to want to get him
correct.
going. So McKissick will be on the field. I just don't see a case where he catches 6 or 7 passes with Terry, with Gibson, and with Samuel back in this game.
Okay, you talked me into it. Talked me out of it, I guess would be a better way to say it. Talked me out of it. So I'll jump on the Hilliard train with you there as well. Man, that's I'm gonna have to hit up them rankings again real quick.
Which is fun. I mean, we literally don't know what we're gonna get out of Hilliard. So what better way to kind of celebrate that and get the action going than putting Hilliard in our lineup and see what we get. If he puts up a goose egg, and that stinks, but if he puts up 15, 20 points, you'd be over the moon. You'd be talking about that for the next week. Hey, I played Hilliard when nobody gave a crap about him, and he single-handedly damn near won me my lineup here. So that's what it's all about, getting some action, having some fun. So to me, DJ and Hilliard.
Right. All right. I like it. I like it. Well, I'll co-sign on that one. Plus, when you think about it too, they felt comfortable enough with their mixture of Foreman and Hilliard that they decided to waive and cut Adrian Peterson there as well. So I think that speaks some volumes too. Last game on the slate, I had Tampa Bay and the Colts. On this one here, I see this one being kind of on the shootout side of it, with the Buccaneers ultimately winning 30-24. A lot of that has to do with the fact that Vita Vea looks like he's going to be good to go and looks like he's going to suit up and play in this game. Now, if Vita Vea was out of this game, I actually would have probably seen a different result playing out, where I think the Colts probably win that game closer to a 27-24 type of deal. But Vita Vea coming in there, I think helps helps that Tampa Bay defense limit what the Colts are going to be able to do. The Buccaneers secondary is also getting healthier, and you're seeing a lot of that come through there as well. Jonathan Taylor, I think that you're not going to see him necessarily go crazy like we have seen him go over the last couple of weeks there. I think he still has a very good game, but I think that Tampa Bay's rush defense is very, very real. And I don't know that they're going to give up a ton of points to Jonathan Taylor. Obviously, if you've got him season long, you're going to start him, but I'm not necessarily optimistic on a DFS side of things for him, especially with the price tag that he carries there as well. The wide receivers for Tampa Bay are in play. I see this being more of a Godwin week than an Evans week, as well as Michael Pittman. I think will have a good game here as well, and certainly get his. What are your thoughts here?
Well, I want to start with Tampa Bay briefly here. So, as you said, you see it being a Godwin week. I do too. So, I would never, ask or tell folks to do anything I wouldn't do myself. So, absolutely, I have some DFS lines with both Godwin and Evans in them. But to be honest with you, there might be a little bit of an edge to be gained in DFS formats with rostering Evans and leaving Godwin out of it, just from an ownership perspective, and you can gain leverage that way. And the one way I went was, rostering Mike Evans, TB12, Michael Pittman, and then filling in my lineup with the Denver Broncos DST. Just a weird way, a weird path I went down this morning here. But to me, I cannot get away. I cannot get over Michael Pittman today. Going to be on the field dang near 100% of the time. On FanDuel, Pittman $6,600. On DraftKings, Pittman $5,600. And we're going to see a wide receiver 1 week from this kid. When you look at it, I have the final score, a very close contested game. Tampa Bay winning 28-27-ish. So you're looking at, 3-4 touchdowns from each team. Where are they going to go? Well, it's pretty easy. Since it's close to Christmas, why can't we get a game where Evans scores a touchdown, Godwin scores a touchdown, Gronkowski scores a touchdown, Taylor finds the end zone? So I'm just giving away touchdowns like I'm Oprah Winfrey here. Everybody gets
get a touchdown.
Yeah, everybody gets a touchdown here. So to me, this one is going to go exactly how we think it's going to go, and there's no reason to get cute. It's every name you see here, that's what you're going to want to roll with. TB12, Godwin, Evans, Gronkowski if you own him. On the Indianapolis Colts side of things, Carson Wentz, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, and to be fair, that's about it with this one. In terms of Jonathan Taylor, I have him for 18, 19 carries, 80 yards, 4.5 yards a pop, a touchdown here. In seasonal formats, I don't even have to say it. There's absolute no way you're going to bench Jonathan Taylor. So the only question here is what do we do with him from a DFS perspective? It's all based on contest selection. What are you in? You in a single entry, you in cash games, and we go from there. JT, the way he's playing right now, always in play, so there's no way you can fade Jonathan Taylor. So to me, it's about Evans, Godwin, and Michael Pittman Jr. here, and I think that's tying it up in a nice little package bow here.
I like it. I like it a lot. Alrighty. I do believe that's going to take us down here to the end of it. Chris, what final thoughts do you have for the viewers and listeners out there?
Like really try to be present today. Be in peace, right? It's the end of basically the end of November, so we have started on the road to Christmas here. So stay home, have some coffee, put up your Christmas tree, put some logs in the fireplace. Just be at peace here. And again, with the holiday season, coming up quick, in the hustle and bustle, take time for yourself. You can get a little exhausted, you doing things and talking to all your friends and family. Set boundaries and be in peace. And start it today, being at home, being comfy, under a warm blanket, watching a fire, and that's it. Thank you for having me here this afternoon, and I look forward to how this game plays out, how this slate plays out, and we'll go from there. I told you what I have for my final score predictions. You did what you had, and we're on two opposite sides of the field here, so it's going to be fun to see how this thing shakes out here, Derek.
Yep, I fully expect when I'm because what was it? The Pittsburgh and the Cincinnati game that you and I were on complete opposite spectrums of.
Correct.
Well, I fully expect when the Bengals do what you predict that I get that text later today going, well, so
I won't rub it in your face. I don't do that to anybody.
That's all right. No, I was talking more of a standpoint of it's always fun to talk a little trash and little accountability there. So absolutely. So It'll be fun and it'll be interesting to see. And that's one of those we'll have to certainly talk about next week on which side that one fell. Watch it falls right in the middle between the two of us. I could see that one also happening.
Yeah,
too.
I wouldn't be shocked.
That could be a lot of fun there. But Chris, anything planned for the in-game meals today?
I'm going to order a pizza. I haven't had pizza in a long time. It's right down the street. I think I'm going to get pizza and pasta. They have this whole combo with some breadsticks and all that, just loaded with sesame seeds and Cajun spice. I mean, my mouth is watering. I'm probably going to call them as soon as we end this broadcast.
I like it. I wasn't sure if it was a leftover day or a pizza day. For me, it might be a pizza day. I think that's kind of where we're going to go there as well. But absolutely, Chris, appreciate having you on. I very much look forward to our Sunday shows here. And you can catch us next week, Sunday morning, 11:45 a.m. Eastern. And then the rest of the time zones will fall in line with that one as well. So absolutely make sure you're tuning in. You can also catch the Good Old Boys 11 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday and Fridays and go through those episodes with us as well. Do us a favor, hop on, subscribe to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast YouTube channel, ring the bell so you get the notifications when we go live. You can follow Chris on our @Detroit Beastie on Twitter. Almost messed that up yet again. Absolutely. You can see the tag right there. You can also find his work for Team Rise or Fall down there in the description on YouTube as well, in the show notes there. Guys, for everybody tuning in, appreciate all the questions. Appreciate everybody tuning in. He's Chris. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe.